Hi campers, my name is Miss Franz. I have had a lot of you, I'm sure, in my reading lessons in the past. What we're doing for reading with LifeCamp, these videos are for older students. So I would say maybe 3rd to up to 8th grade, you guys could use these lessons that I'm gonna be doing. I'm gonna give you just a couple of topics, a couple of videos that you can watch. I'm going to use video examples, like clips from YouTube, so that I can explain my concepts in different ways. But they're just going to be ideas that you can use in reading and writing, even like when watching TV. So the topic we're going to start with today, some of you may remember from learning with me, but I'm going to review it in a slightly different way. We're going to talk about the topic of irony, which can be really fun and funny to talk about. So again, no matter what age you are, between about 3rd to 8th grade, this is a topic that you can see coming up in stories, in TV shows, in movies, and even in real life, which is sometimes the best time you can notice it. So just some quick thinking. Think to yourself, since I can't talk to you guys personally, but think to yourself, in your own words, think of what it means when someone says, well, that's ironic. In other words, think of like when maybe your brother, sister, or dad said that phrase and what happened that prompted or got them to say that phrase. Well, that's ironic. Think hard for a second. If any of you thought of something, I'm betting it's when somebody maybe in your family or one of your friends said or did something that was the opposite of what they meant to do or say. In other words, for example, a time that I remember saying that's pretty ironic is when I walked up the stairs one day in my apartment, and as I was walking up the stairs, I was talking in a really excited way, saying, oh my gosh, I had the most amazing day. I did so many good things. And as soon as I said I did so many good things, I completely wiped out on the steps. From which my friend said to me, well, that's ironic. Think about it. I was walking upstairs talking about doing amazing things with my day, and falling on the stairs was the complete opposite of doing an amazing thing. So it was ironic. In other words, it's the opposite of what you expect for me to do. So that's actually the definition of irony. It's when there's a contrast, or in other words, a difference between what is expected to happen. So maybe I'm coming up the stairs, and if I'm saying how amazing I am, maybe I whip out like a report card and I did really well on something, or a trophy that I won from running a race. You don't expect me, you expect me to show you something good. The opposite of what you expect is for me to do something really bad or kind of silly. And that's what I did. So irony, again, is when there's a difference between what you expect and what actually ends up happening. And in literature, so when we're talking about books, this is specifically called situational irony. In other words, there's a situation happening where you expect one thing, but the opposite happens. Let's see how this looks in some TV shows. I'll go back to this point. I want to show you some TV clips before we kind of talk about the real life situations. So this used to be my favorite show, Drake and Josh. There was a ton of situational irony. In other words, there's a lot of moments where you found that a character was doing the opposite thing that you expected to happen, or maybe the character meant to happen. So let's see in this moment, what's the character trying to avoid and what ends up happening? So think at the end of that clip, people were laughing And you might want to think to yourself, why were they laughing? Like, what was funny about that clip? The funny thing that is that he's playing a football video game and he's trying to avoid getting sacked, which means like tackled and his play is ruined. He's saying, not the sack, not the sack. And what happens? He gets sacked. That's why we're laughing. So that actually kind of brings us to a point here. Why irony? What's the whole point of it? Moments of irony can either help authors or like movie or TV show creators create moments that are humorous or funny. Sometimes it also creates moments that are a little tense. So maybe you really, like a character really wants something good to happen and you're worrying because you're worried that the bad thing is going to happen to them, the ironic thing instead of what you're hoping will happen to them. So, some real life examples of situational irony might be you got up early for school so you're not late because you're late every day. But what's the opposite expectation? So you got up early to be to school on time, and the expectation is you will get there on time. But what's the opposite expectation? That you don't get there for some reason. So maybe you got up early, but the bus came late. So it's ironic. You got up early to go to school, yet you were still late because of the bus. This one's kind of funny. So you stay up all night to study for a test that you need to get an A on, and then you oversleep and miss the test and fail it. So it's kind of funny. It's kind of tense too. Your expectation is by staying up and studying, you'll do well. And then the opposite of that, which is the ironic situation, is the fact that you overslept and still got to fail on your test. All right, so the final thing we're going to do, here's like a quick kind of quiz. Look at these pictures. I want you to tell me what's ironic about them. In other words, what's kind of funny or strange? What do you expect the picture to look like, but what is the picture actually doing for you? So like, look at this one. Think safety first. How is this man putting up a sign that tells you to be safe? I'm hoping you guys are thinking or saying to the screen, it's ironic that he's trying to promote safety in the most unsafe way, right? How about this one? Please do not tape anything to the glass. How is it on the glass? How is it attached? By tape. So these images are ironic. They're doing the exact opposite of what they're telling you or promoting. So this is your activity. Like, while you guys are watching these lessons, I want you to try to borrow them and use them in real life. So when you're watching TV, see if there's any episodes of Austin and Ally where Austin's trying to make one thing happen and the opposite thing happens. Or you're watching a movie, The Avengers, and the same kind of situation happens to Iron Man, where he's trying to stop something, but that thing ends up happening. When you're reading a book, this might come up, or even in real life. So again, if your dad walks up the stairs and says that he's a super smooth guy and then he trips on the steps, that's ironic, right? That's not very smooth to trip on the steps. So look for moments of irony. When they happen, point them out and tell your family about them. Thanks for logging on, guys. It was really good seeing you, and I hope you join me for my other lessons.